Hi, all, and welcome to Monday night's All Metal Mode podcast with Gypsy, myself, Amanda Digger-DeGauze, and special guest Vicki Merritt. Before we get started with tonight's show, just a reminder that May's issue of Dirt Digest magazine is available at dirtdigestmagazine.com. Just click on current issue, and you can either view or download a copy of the May issue. Next up, head on over to allmetamode.com and check out Joanna Lasnica's article on metal detecting mystery. She's discussing how a decades-old ring traveled 4,000 miles without its owner. If you haven't heard about this amazing story, definitely go check it out. Again, that's allmetamode.com. Hey, Gypsy, happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Starting of a brand new week. Who knows what lies ahead, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So how was your week? Weekend?
It was good. It was good. I actually took Friday off to go and play in the dirt. So, yeah, it was good. I had a good time out.
And you found some really cool stuff.
Oh,
you
yeah.
Going to tell us about it?
I found, so I one-dimed it and flipped it over and got a 1906 Barber dime. And then right actually near it, within a foot, I found a 1907 Indian head penny. So that was pretty cool. So this is the same area, too, that I've been finding those, like, last year I was finding Pandora beads, and I actually came upon 4 more. So I was pretty excited about that. I tested all 4, and 2 are silver, but 2 aren't. So, but either way, they're really neat. So I guess I silver times 3.
Right? That's exciting. Anytime you find silver and an Indian head. I don't know why Indian heads are just still so fun to find for me. I get excited and giddy every time I find one. It never gets old.
Yeah, this one is in great shape. Great shape. I was super excited, but the soil there, instead of being our dark mineralized soil, it's more like a sand. So it doesn't hold the water. So it actually didn't degrade the coin as badly as I normally find them.
Wow.
But how are you?
That's always nice. I'm good. I'm hanging in there. I haven't gotten out this last week. Circumstances didn't allow me to get out, but hopefully very soon. Still waiting to hear. This week is the final week I'm supposed to hear back from Garrett when I get the new Apex to start testing. And, of course, they're going to be making their big reveal on May 15th, which is coming up super soon, 5 days away, I think. Ooh. So everybody have been having all kinds of messages. Hey, can you tell me? I'm like, you know as much as I do. So anyway, it's exciting. Everybody's super excited and waiting to find out more info, including me, but I'm excited to get to test. So if you are interested in seeing the test results when I get the test machine, the brand new Apex, before it comes out on the market, be sure and go to my YouTube channel, Zero Discrimination YouTube, Detecting with Gypsy. That's me. and check out my videos. I'll be testing in all kinds of different situations on new permissions as well as old permissions, testing it, going over properties that I've already hunted before. So that way I can see if I can pull out anything new. And Bill asked what time the big reveal. I think it's going to be in the a.m. I can't remember if it's 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. Central. But what you can do Mike thinks it's 11 a.m. You can go to the Garrett website and you can click on the live announcement there and sign up, and you can receive a notification. And if you do sign up for the live reveal, they're going to be giving away some prizes that day. So be sure to sign up if you haven't already. So that's about all the info I've got. Let's go ahead and bring in our special guest. What do you say, Amanda?
Yep, sounds good to me.
All right. So tonight we have our very special guest, Vicki Merritt. Now, just a quick little thing about Vicki. I met her about 2 years ago at the Charles Garrett Memorial Hunt in Jefferson, Texas. And she is another Texan, just like me. And welcome, Vicki. Welcome to the show.
Nice to be here. I'm glad to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. So, Vicki, we'll start out. For those of you that don't know Vicki, where do you live exactly in Texas, Vicki?
I live in Hunt County, Texas. That's in East Texas, in a little town called Greenville. That's the post office box. I actually live in a town that's a ghost town called Cache. They have no post office, nothing. So we use the Greenville address. And it's been my experience, there's not a lot of cash in Cache. But that's
not a lot of
where
cash
I live.
in Cache. Okay.
Not a lot of cash there.
Oh, man, or you haven't found the big cache yet there anyway, huh? But you say it's kind of like a
No,
ghost. Was it not yet anyway?
Actually it is. At one time, I think it was a town, they had a railroad, and I'm sure some semblance of a town, small as it was. And I'm not sure when it was incorporated, but they don't have any city offices, anything. They're still a town, but all their services come from Greenville. So, in a sense, it's a ghost town. But there's, not even any remnants of the old town. But, yeah.
Might be some goodies out there waiting then. Well, I do know where Greenville is, so I pass near there when I go to my parents to East Texas, so at least I know about where you are. So that's neat. So, Vicki, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Amanda because I know she's got a long list of questions for you. So, Amanda.
All right, Vicki, how did you get into detecting?
Well, it's kind of a long story, and I'll try to give you the short version. When I was a kid, I loved to read Nancy Drew mysteries, and because she found treasure. And it was always neatly wrapped up at the end of every book, but it was a real cliffhanger. I also liked, Swiss Family Robinson treasure stories, that kind of thing. And basically, you could say I kind of fell over it, because reading those stories made me think, I'd like to do that. And I was always being told by my parents, watch where you're going, because I was always, like a lot of people, looking for found treasures on the ground. And now my aunt and uncle did it up in Illinois, but I was too cool being a teenager, so I really, didn't think it was something I would actually do. But, time went on. I had a lot of interest in archaeology, and I'd been on a couple of digs. I loved reading about those things. And it kind of just eventually, I got detectors for my kids, little ones, and kind of lived vicariously. And at some point, I decided, why not? I'm always looking at the ground anyway. Now I have an excuse. If I have a stick in my hand, then I don't look so silly walking along just looking at the ground. So, yeah, that's kind of how I got into it.
Well, that's interesting. That's neat. Neat little story there. Yeah, it's neat that you kind of grew up around it, but you also do bottle digging, right?
Yes. Yeah, and that, I won't even say it's my second love. They kind of vie for each other all the time. I like both of them.
They just kind of go together, don't they?
They do. If you do one, you'll kind of accidentally find yourself flipping into the other, if for no other reason, you'll find bottles or bottle remnants at some of the sites you detect. And it'll pique your interest to find out, what is this bottle? What was in this bottle? This is cool. And as it turned out, I knew a couple of gals. One of my best buddies, till she got kind of sick and couldn't do it anymore, she was really into the bottles. And I wasn't at that time, really thinking, oh, well, okay, who wants to go dig around in a nasty old dump? Because like a lot of people, you hear the word dump and you think garbage,
Exactly.
But yeah,
right.
And it's not like that. I mean, most of the dumps are so old, and even then they had their own, germ control, pollution control. They burned them regularly. They did things. But most of them go back so far that everything's kind of been, sanitized by the dirt, if that makes any sense. To where you don't usually encounter fresh, smelly garbage like a lot of people envision,
Right.
For the same thing when you say privy digging, everybody goes, ooh, nasty. But it's usually not the case.
Right. Privy digging is so much fun, too, because of what they drop down in there. Like you say, for some people, when they first hear that, they think, oh, gross, but all that's done, decayed many, many years ago, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Finding the bottles and coins and other stuff that they dropped. Go ahead.
Right, and when you really start thinking back, they didn't really have trash pickup. So a lot of things did go in the privy. If they were too lazy to walk out to the back 40, they just dropped it in the hole, so to speak. So there's a lot of good stuff in there sometimes. I can't say I've done that a lot, but I've probably inadvertently dug a few, because virtually every yard, just about, I had one at one time or somewhere nearby. So, yeah.
Very true. Very true. So, let's see. Amanda, you have another question for?
So you've been treasure hunting for quite a while then, so I'm not going to ask you how long you've been detecting, unless you want to answer that. Do you
probably about 20. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I haven't really kept real good track, but I'd say it's about 25, maybe even 30 years that I've been dabbling in it and got really to where I could do it all the time without interference. Of course, like, a lot of women, when my kids got old enough, that I could actually get out of the house without one of them with me. Got really serious about it, but I've been doing it a long time.
Do you remember what machine you started with?
Yeah. And it's, like a lot of people, and this is how a lot of people start. I really only found out later that they actually manufactured them right down, pretty much down the next town over where I grew up. But I referred to buying my kids, and one Christmas, I try to get unique things and kind of live vicariously. So I got two of my older daughter's detectors at Radio Shack. They had little kids versions. They actually still have them, I might add. And I kept admiring this $40 Radio Shack, which seemed like a lot of money to me. When you can't have kids, it's a lot of money. And finally, at some point, I just said, after a year or something, I'm going to go get that. It probably was really the wrong detector to buy for a first detector. Not that there's really anything wrong with it, but it was pretty, even for the times, the technology was pretty low tech, to say the least.
Right.
And then, of course, like a lot of people, then you move up to bounty hunter,
I started with the Radio Shack. You got to start somewhere when you don't really know what's on the market, and we didn't have the internet back then. We couldn't look up, all the different technology out there. So it was all pretty much. That's how I started. I saw my first detector. The only detectors I'd ever seen on the market in the store were at Radio Shack. So But what detectors are you using now, or have you used?
Well, I own several. After I went the Radio Shack, the Bounty Hunters, a couple of those, and then I went to the GTI 2500, the second version, not the one that talked. And from there, I won a couple in competition hunts and everything. And at some point, I purchased, when they came out, really moved up. Because that GTI, they're great detectors, but they're heavy. And I got the AT Pro. And then the Max, and I have a couple other brands. But my go-to, even tethered to the earphones, is the AT Pro, because that's when I really got serious, and I found more things with the AT Pro. So that's kind of just my fallback. I just feel comfortable. It's like your first car, kind of. It takes a while when you get a new car to adjust to the next car and really feel comfortable. And I like the wireless capabilities of the Max, but to be fair to it, I just haven't spent as much time with it as I do the Pro. You just really can't beat the Pro for all-around reliability, and it's what you learn on. So it's what you probably really learn and get serious, because it's a serious machine. It's not really a beginner's machine like the Radio Shack or the Bounty Hunter. But it's my go-to.
Right. So I know that Amanda has some more questions. Since I asked the last one, I'll let Amanda ask the next one.
So do you have a bucket list each year that you hope to, find a certain item from, or multiple items from?
Not really. I just kind of, I tend to like the relics better than the coins.
Okay.
Kind of sacrilege, right? But I really do like the relics. You see one coin, you've seen them all,
Yep.
Is kind of my approach. And then when you do competition hunts, you have a lot of coins. So if it were not for that, I'd probably be, I got to have a coin. I remember saying, if I could only find a spoon. I find so many spoons now, it's not funny, but I really like the relics, the things that you have to go, oh, what is this? And do some research and learn something, and kind of one of a kind in a sense. That's what I really like to find. If it's got writing on it, the better. We all know that. If it makes the research easier by having some kind of writing on it. But I'm just really fascinated by the individuality in that respect. And it's an added bonus. They're a little easier to find than coins out where I live.
Yeah, it's got the personal touch to it that, the coin may have passed through multiple people's hands, but that ring or that, monogram spoon or that belonged to somebody.
Right. And you feel that history.
Yes.
Of the person.
So do you have a
white... Or make up your own story.
Yeah, yes, true. I've done that. Do you have like a white whale, a relic that you have yet to find that you're hoping to find?
Yeah, I think about that a lot because people always ask me, and there's a lot of things I haven't found that would be nice to find. Maybe like a whole pristine pocket watch or something. But if I really thought hard, what I'd really like to find that I probably had the slimmest chance of finding to where I would put it on a bucket list, it would be a meteor or a piece of meteorite.
That would be awesome.
Right.
Yeah, and actually for value, it's have good value too.
Yeah, if you find one that's like a football size, your kids, your grandkids, they're all good for the rest of their lives.
Oh yeah, you're probably going to get your name in the paper. And the interesting thing, I have a ring that is made out of moldavite, which is a type of meteor. You'll probably know there's a couple of different kinds, and I'm not a meteor expert. But this particular one polishes into this beautiful green stone. And I thought, now I'd like to find one of those, a big one, in the wild. I'd have it turned into a ring. If it's a good-sized chunk. We're not talking football.
Yeah.
We're talking a gemstone size. Yeah, that would, to me, would be the coolest thing to have.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right. Now, you live in East Texas area. You've met Keith Wills from East Texas?
Oh, absolutely.
Did you ever see his meteorite that he found?
I didn't see it in person. No, but I was thinking of that. Yeah, that's probably what got me going along those lines. And since you brought up Keith, I want to say, I started detecting when he was a teenager, but that wouldn't be entirely the truth. But I'm close. But he's been a fantastic mentor, and he's done wonderful things for the hobby. And anybody that's, kind of starting out, that's what I would suggest they do, among several other things. But find a good mentor, somebody that knows and Keith does the laws, history, what you can do, what you can't. Someone that really knows what they're talking about. You get a lot. I have to say, I broke a cardinal rule and hope they don't come hunt me down. But when I was detecting back with the bounty hunter, I went to state park. I was clueless. I didn't know that wasn't okay. And somebody was looking out for me because I never got in trouble. But later, as I joined some clubs and started getting to meet people that, knew a whole lot more than I did, I realized, wow, I dodged a bullet there. So it really does pay to join a club or find somebody that is obviously kind of more of a professional, because they make really good mentors. They won't necessarily take you to the sweet spots, but they'll help you learn what you need to learn to have your own sweet spots. And that's just invaluable experience.
Right. Yeah, there's so much to learn, and in the beginning, I think a lot of us have made small mistakes or did make mistakes at one time. And then once you get familiar, that's the beauty of being a part of a club. Are you part of a metal detecting club now?
Yes. I started out, with our local club, which was also primarily prospectors. I forget the acronym of the initials, the gold clubs. I can't even think what they're called now. But they also did some detecting. But their emphasis seemed to be more on the gold prospecting, which I wasn't really that into. So then I joined Lone Star, and they're a fantastic club out of Irving. I drive a long way to go to that club because it is such a good club. I had to drop out for a little while recently because I had some family things going on, but I got back to going again. And that club's just full of people that know what they're doing and talking about. And I've learned so much being a member of that club. Plus, they do fun things. And I know a lot of people starting out, they don't really know where to go, And getting with a club, and they're planned, they have club masters, as y'all know, or hunt masters. And it's an opportunity to get out there and practice what you're doing till you learn.
Exactly.
And it's a good way to learn. Of course, by the time I joined the club, I thought I knew what I was doing, and I was finding things, but I just learned so much more, and then got into the competition hunt, which I love, because you really, really learn how to hone your skills doing that. And it takes a little while to get the hang of even that, but I've had some really good, I guess you'd say, late life mentors that taught me a lot of things that I didn't know, that has actually improved the way I hunt, where I find where to hunt, how to hunt, and, what the laws are, and getting permissions and all kinds of things. I think a lot of people are held back because, like a lot of things, a little bit of I hate to use the word fear, but inexperience, and they don't really know what's okay to do, how to do it, where you can do it. And a club can really help you overcome some of that. Or even if you're a lone hunter, the camaraderie that you get from a club is really rewarding. That's the second treasure to doing this. All the people you meet. You and I wouldn't have met if I maybe if I wasn't in clubs or associated. Yeah, with the metal detecting community. And they're some of the nicest people I have ever known. The competition is friendly, not cutthroat. And it was kind of like finding your home planet. Yeah, I mean, there's other people that do this weird thing, you know? So, yeah, it's just been a fantastic experience to get to know people from the clubs and the seated hunts, and you get a lot of free stuff. I mean, after your entry fee, it's all profit, right? So I did real well in the competition hunt. It's where most of my coins came from, not all, but the majority of them. So it's well worth doing.
Oh, yeah. And, the competition hunts, too, you get to meet a lot of people, but another thing you learn that a lot of people don't think about, you learn how to pinpoint better. You learn how to do a faster retrieval because you're out there with a bunch of people, So you get faster on all that as well.
Well, true, because when I've been detecting for a long time and still hadn't learned the importance of a pinpointer. And I look back now, I kept thinking, I know there was a signal, but I don't see anything because you don't really realize unless it's a silver coin, which will usually show silver. But a lot of things you find, they just look like dirt, and it's easy to overlook them without a pinpointer. And that will cut your time in half, and the expertise that you get from other people, like, how not to dig too many cans and stuff like that, well, worth free knowledge, really. Those things are invaluable. Someone else has already learned the hard way, and they can save you a lot of trouble by passing on any of the hints they have. And I'm still learning. I don't think you ever really know everything there is to know about any subject.
Oh, we all, yeah. It's a continual learning. I learned so much from other detectorists, even, still constantly. And you can even learn things from beginners as well. And I learned so much just from the guests we have on here as well. I don't know about you, Amanda. Do you do the same thing?
Oh, absolutely.
It's fun to meet, people from all over and discuss what we love so much. And Amanda and I get to hear all kinds of things, and we learn from almost every guest something new. It's fun. But I'm wondering, do you have a favorite relic that, since you like finding relics, do you have a favorite relic that you found? Maybe one you have on display or something that was really special, neat find to you?
Yeah, there's a couple. It's kind of hard to pick a favorite, but
right.
Yeah, because everything's so unique. But I think, and as to value and everything, probably not any. But it was the coolest thing that I found because there were so many dates on it, and it was a I can't remember, Charles Alva. No, that's not right. Edison, and it had his full name, which meant it was early. Somebody help me, I can't remember his name, but, Alva Edison, I can't remember his first name, that invented the phonograph and so many things. And this was a plaque. Was it Charles? I don't know. Maybe somebody will correct us later. But
we know who you're talking about.
Thank you. I can't remember his name. And yes, I did well in school, but it's just escaping me right now. But it was a plaque that went on one of his very first gramophones. It was brass. It looked like gold. And it had like 15 dates or more starting in the 1800s. And the plaque itself kind of dated itself based on the first date, the last date. But there was still a question, when exactly did this happen? Because he had patents all this time. so when did this particular piece? But it made it kind of easy to track it down. And, we were talking about inventing your own stories, and I thought, one of these was in every home, or some brand was at some time. And this used to be people's only contact with the outside world is, around the radio or listening to the gramophone. And that's the neat part that I like about Relic. You're kind of just the research you do, the things you learn, especially if your world happens to be kind of stressful like it is now, it takes you back. It's a little bit like, and I've heard this said before from archaeologists, it's a little like time travel. It's probably the closest for a long time that any of us are going to get to the time travel, which, kind of brings me to the point, some of the coins now, they're probably going to disintegrate before they're ever found. So I hope that we leave some kind of relic for people that can go back in time and they can discover, and they'll get to experience some time travel too, what life might have been like at one time. And I think that's what really draws me to the relics, things that I didn't even know existed, that you can find in the ground that tell a story or they hint at a story, and you learn so much from the history of trying to research. What is this? When was it used? What was it for? And I think that appeals to me. I always want to learn things. So I guess that's why I like the relics. They kind of talk, and you can participate in some time travel. Yeah, and we all make up stories, right?
Right, and I really love that thought. They're time traveling. That's kind of what we all do when we find a relic or something old like that. When we start researching, we do a little time traveling, and that's a really neat concept.
Yeah, and you're saving history.
Exactly. So now you mentioned archaeologists a while ago. Now, am I remembering correctly? You've worked with some archaeologists in the past, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I used to belong to the Dallas Archaeological Society. I went on a few hunts with them. But when I through metal detecting and the club, the call went out that a descendant of the Sam Houston family, they were trying to find the first French fort in Texas. And it was only there for 6 months. And I think Mexico was invading and going to come, there was a lot of competition for Texas at the time. And because her descendants were involved in this, they really wanted to bring this local history to their town. And they were pretty sure they were at the right place. This was on the banks of the Trinity. But they hadn't really found any datable evidence. And so a bunch of us went out there to see what we could find with metal detectors. We go out once every year and detect this property. Because the French were there for such a short amount of time, they didn't leave a lot behind. But a lot of them did bring their wives and families with them. So there should have been some relics, but they hadn't been able to find any. And I really couldn't claim this was found with the metal detector, but I did get a signal, and I dug, and I found this piece of pottery. Well, I thought it was salt glaze pottery, which isn't really terribly old, but we had 3 archaeologists along the dig with us to verify anything we found, and to do their archaeological work. And so I showed this to an archaeologist. Well, they went nuts. And as it turned out, I believe it was called Crazy Dutch, a little piece of china that actually did a lot to verify, yes, this is our right time period. This is what we would expect to find. And it was a really good clue for them. Now, I never did go back and dig that metal signal I got because the excitement got so crazy.
You were excited. Everybody was so excited.
Yeah, I forgot about to go back and dig that. I just knew that piece of pottery was probably of interest, and it was. They went absolutely crazy and told everybody to come over and start digging there. And Yeah, it might get me some real obscure byline in some archaeological journal that nobody ever reads much. But it was a real accomplishment on my part, and it was fantastic. I would stay the night there in the room and got to sleep with a desk that Sam Houston made. The museum was right next door to that. Some artifacts, I think they were also related to Price Daniel, Governor Price Daniel, who was governor of Texas. Some of his artifacts, I mean, there were Indian pipes and arrowheads. And I said, oh, this is cool. What is this? Oh, that was Sam's. It's Houston, dump. And yeah. So that was a really fantastic experience. And that is the kind of thing that I would recommend if you choose to get into this. Sometimes the way to get the foot in the door is to volunteer for that stuff. That will lead to other permissions and other acquaintances, and volunteer in your local town for your historical society. There's always somebody looking for something for historical purposes, and it'll get you on some pretty cool permissions. Now, you may not get to keep everything, but you do get experience, and you're probably helping out your local community and their local museum and stuff. And I know a lot of people do that, but a lot of people always, how do I get into this? What do I do? Where do I find places to hunt? There's a lot of, I guess you would say, kind of backdoor ways that can get you started, that kind of networks you into a position to have better sites, better contacts, things like that.
Very true. Because, you can get a lot of networking through those and get a lot of new permissions and meet a lot of people that way. So that's a great idea. That was a really fascinating story. I love that. So now I know that Amanda's got some more questions, and I've got a few more questions for you. So I'm going to see if Amanda's got another question on her list.
Sure. No, you had said you do some bottle dump digging. Is there something that you enjoy really finding in those? Like, I know personally I love finding the marbles and the old cast iron toys. Is there something that you enjoy finding?
I like the marbles. Yeah. They're always a surprise. We have a very friendly competition, and we holler out, marble, and you'll find quite a few of those. There's such a unique variety in the marbles. They're always kind of cool to find. When I first started dump digging again, seriously, instead of, watching my friend that was really into it, then I met another lady through clubs and various contacts that is also really into it. And I have to say, she does the hard work on the research, and I'm just, a tag along. I don't have to do the research. But as far as when I first started, I kept every bottle, screw tops, everything. This is so cool. It's free. I love this stuff, But I've kind of narrowed it down to specific bottles that are embossed or a really unique shape. But as to what I'm actually looking for, I guess everybody's looking for that Hutch bottle, that rare bottle. But I have found the embossed Dr. Pepper, and there again, it's the history. It's like, oh, cool, this bottle's got writing on it. It's like research and find out what it was used for. But it's just amazing what will come out of dump. It's not all bottles. I've seen people find old coins, gold, silver, really some unique stuff, buttons, military. I mean, it's a dump. Anything could be in there. Yeah. So I think what I like about it is the surprise of what's in there. Is it going to be bottles today, or will it be a military button, a compact, a little piece of gold, a coin? It's just totally potluck. And in some days, particularly when it's really too hot to detect, the dump hunting's the go-to thing to do because you're still hunting. You just don't have to be out in the heat. Most where we go is shady.
Right.
So it's a lot of fun. And there again, go with a few other people. So you have the camaraderie and the friendly competition. We celebrated Christmas in one dump one year. We all exchanged gifts out of the dump.
Cool.
Had Christmas lights and everything, and celebrated Christmas at the dump, and that was really cool.
That's awesome.
That sounds fun. So, do you have a favorite find that you found at the dump, or Is there like something that really stands out in your mind? Or maybe it might be somebody else's favorite find that they found while you were there or something.
Yeah, it's kind of the Holy Grail. It's not a hutch bottle. It's usually a poison. And yeah, I would like to find a cobalt blue poison bottle. I've not found a poison bottle yet, or a hutch. Either one of those would do. But yeah, I think that unique thing that it's just everybody has one but me, so now I want to find one really bad.
Right.
That kind of motivates me. I'm like, everybody's right next to me has dug poison bottles. In fact, Noggin, y'all know him, I'm sure. I know you do. He dug right beside me one day with my shovel, and he found a cobalt blue poison bottle, and I'm like, oh, so good for you, but now I really want one.
Right.
It was beautiful. Right. He found that up in Jefferson, where we met for the first time. He found that up there in Jefferson.
Yeah, where you and I
not
were
very
digging.
far from there. Yeah, not very far from there. Yeah, so that would probably be my holy grail, because I can say, okay, I'm not a wallflower anymore. I have found a poison bottle.
I have actually found one of those blue cobalt poison bottles, but I ended up giving it to the property owner. So, but they were so excited. Well, yeah, with seeing their excitement. Yeah.
Yeah, and I might have to correct myself. I'm not sure. That might have been a blue ink that Nugget found, which was just as cool as a poison bottle. It was a cobalt blue ink. And, yeah, and that's a good point. If someone is kind enough to let you hunt, and, we're all kind of a little sad about this sometimes, but it's really goodwill. If they really want to, it's their property.
Yeah.
And they'll let you come back, and they'll tell your friends, and you may get other permissions from that. So, let it go and cry your tears when you get home. Because it's worth the goodwill to do that.
Yep,
it really is.
Just make sure you take lots of pictures, because I can go back and go, oh, yeah, I found that.
Yeah.
That reminds me when not all too long ago, before all the lockdown and everything, I went digging in a bottle dump with a new friend that I'd met through my YouTube channel, Christy, and it was the first time we got to meet, and we met, and she drove us to the dump, and we were walking down by this creek that's near the dump where the water would have washed down. And we're about ready to leave, and lo and behold, what does she find is a poison bottle, a little brown, the little brown poison bottle. Well, I've never found a poison bottle, so I'm there with you, Vicki. But anyway, our second trip back to this dump, lo and behold, her and I are digging side by side in the same little area. What does she dig? She digs a second poison bottle exactly like the one she found by the creek. And she was kind enough, she felt sorry for me, she gave it to me, and I have it, but at the same time, I really want to dig my own. I love it, and I cherish it. And if I find another one like that, I'm going to make her take it back, because I want to find my own.
Yeah.
But I do love it.
Yeah, it's a really nice thing to do, and it's precious because it's a sign of their friendship. But still, it's like, I want to find my own. and there are two things that I'm really holding out for. I've taken a lot of people to my site, and virtually everyone I took, some of them, one weekend to the next. I took one person, then I took another one. Pocket watch. And I've been hunting these sites for a long time, never found a pocket watch. And I'm like, that's kind of Murphy's Law. You bring a guest, and there they go, bingo, it's maybe beginner's luck, maybe something to humble us, I'm not sure. So I haven't ever I've dug parts of a pocket watch, but never one that was really intact. But everyone that hunts with me has, or that I hunt with, and it's kind of the same story on the poison bottle. I'm like, This is reaching proportions that's not really funny. I don't want to go anymore and be the one that said, "Oh, nice, you found a prison." I want my own. I guess to some degree we're all a little greedy that way.
Well, definitely persistence usually in the end. It always pays off. So you just got to keep on getting out there and keep on digging. So I think I saw that you and Sue were out digging yesterday in where they tore down some buildings or something, or what did I read?
Yeah.
I think she posted something.
Yeah,
did y'all find anything pretty interesting?
Kind of, yeah. Yesterday, it was a weird day, and I posted a lot of my finds. It was not necessarily a corner relic day, but I found treasure nonetheless. What we were doing is they had torn down law homes, demos, whatever, and I have the permission of a couple of builders out here to hunt. And in this area, anywhere they're building, as long as they haven't put grass and it's not occupied, then I have their permission to hunt. And they're doing a lot of building around me. So that's a lot of lots. So a lot of what we do is we just kind of walk them. There's a lot of surface finds. It was a little bit muddy. But one of the things that I found, besides the marble, and she, of course, found a partial pocket watch, but this was more of a surface find than a dig. I basically tripped over it. And it was partially in the ground. So I guess you could say I dug it because I had to get it the rest of the way out. But it was a railroad, I don't know if they call it, I think it's a spike hammer. And I've never seen anything like
your
it.
Post.
Yeah.
That is really cool looking. I've never... What'd you say? Yeah. I'm sorry.
And I said, yeah, and I kind of collect old hammers. Because another thing that I did for a while is the scrap metal and copper and things that you find, I would fashion it into kind of steampunk sort of jewelry, I guess you could say. So I'm always on the lookout for gears and things like that. But
very cool.
So I use jewelry hammers and stuff like that. But I'd never seen a hammer like this. And I thought, is it an axe? Is it a hammer? What is this? No, I finally researched it a little bit and found that it was a railroad spike. They have a particular name for it, but for this, I'll say hammer, which was kind of cool because we were next to a railroad. And then I found a lot of things, and to me, treasure is what you make it, and you probably saw the post. I found some cane, so we cut cane, put some cane poles. And, I have permission to be on this site, so I'm not being destructive. And some old bottle pieces and old clock and stuff like that. Other than marbles, I can't say there was any outstanding small finds. Sue won the day on that. But I found a lot of stuff that I found interesting that came home with me that some other people might consider trash, but I thought it was kind of cool. I love old crocs. I put them in the garden, and you can find those at the bottle dump a lot. Little frogs love to make homes in them. Give them a safe place to shelter and everything. So I kind of decorate the garden with them. It wasn't an outstanding day as far as, I found this wonderful coin, but it was a satisfying, fun day. It was kind of our Mother's Day hunt that we try to kind of do every year. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Now, Sue's really a model.
That's a neat hammer, though. I've never seen one shaped like that. Now, earlier someone asked in the chat, and I think I forgot about it because we were talking about something else. But someone asked maybe how you clean your finds. Do you, some of your rusty stuff, you use like maybe electrolysis, or do you have another method or anything that you do?
Yeah, I have probably the least archaeological correct method to clean rusty things. And I wouldn't necessarily advocate it, but it works for me because it's my find. If I destroy it, well, that's on me. Horseshoes, things like that. A good whap on the concrete will knock an awful lot of the rust off, and then I go after it with a wire wheel, which isn't really the real. I mean, usually because I know what I have isn't incredibly valuable. If I thought it was really valuable, I would probably do the electronics and stuff. But my objective is just to get the rust off, and then I treat them when I get them decent enough for that to where the majority of the rust is off. Then I discovered something at a gun show a long time ago. It's called Gibbs. I don't know if I promote things. It's a spray, somewhat of a silicone-type spray, that I keep an anvil outside, and it will not rust when you spray it with this stuff. I mean, 2 or 3 years and there's no rust. Of course, I cover it, but it's really good for preserving things that you don't want to rust again. So that's what I do on those things.
What was the name of it again,
the
Vicki?
rusty thing. It's called Gibbs. And I did have the guy's contact number. Don't have it with me, but I know he travels around to a lot of gun shows because it's also what they'll put on restored guns or recovered guns that have been left to rust, grandpa's closet or something like that. It's some type of silicone-type spray, I think. But it really does retard recurring rust.
Would you post that maybe in Zero Discrimination, my group page? Because I won't. Oh, Gibbs. Did you say Gibbs? I think James was asking.
Gibbs. GICBS, and it's an aerosol can. And if I can still find the guy's card, I'll put it in there. I've had a can for several years, but I get it at the local gun shows.
Oh, okay. If you can find a can of it and maybe take a photo of it and put it over there in Zero Discrimination, I would love that. And Amanda and I might try that out. That sounds pretty cool. Something that Amanda and I do. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, now I use that on the heavy iron relic. I don't know about it working on, say, like coins or small, thin or delicate relics. I don't know. Right. I would assume it would work the same, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend spraying it on everything because I really don't know what the results are if you were to do that on, say, an old brooch or something like that. But it works real good on iron.
That's neat. Because Amanda and I have gotten to where we use also. I recently fixed a little electrolysis up, and I know Amanda has an electrolysis. But what's the stuff, Rust-Oleum, that you use? Or no, it's not Rust-Oleum. What is it called, Amanda?
I use a Vapor Rust, but a Vapor Rust is what takes the rust off. This it sounds like the Gibbs is more of a prevention. So you could use yeah, so it'd be good to try. So and you were right. Rust-Oleum is the
after you use it, spray it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It sounds like Rust-Oleum and Gibbs. Yeah.
And I also. Sorry. There's a lady up there.
No,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you're probably familiar with Canton. Anybody that lives in Texas is. And there's a lady out there that does sell a lot of restored hammers and tools. And I might ask her if she has a better recommendation, but the Gibbs has worked for me really well on iron relics. If you get most of the rust off and clean it really well, it really prevents it from re-rusting, I'd say, for at least up to a year or more, and then all you have to do is add more. And, I'm seeing one of our friendly local, what we talked about earlier, probably wondering why I'm parking here, but he drove on by, so I think I'm good. Because I'm like, what are you doing parked here? But he's not approached me yet. I'll let you know if he does.
Okay.
If I may have to interrupt.
Well,
I think I'm cool.
See, we say we learn something new every time, and I definitely learned something new tonight with that Gibbs. It's definitely something I want to try on some of my finds after I've used, my electrolysis or something like that. There's another stuff that we use, and right now the name is escaping me, Amanda. What's the stuff that I've been using?
CLR.
CLR. Yes, my brain wasn't working. But I've bought CLR, and it works very well. I've used the Vapor Rust, and I've used the other stuff that Amanda uses.
Vapor Rust?
Is that the Vapor Rust, and then there's the Rust-Oleum as well. That's what I was trying to think of. So all three of those have worked pretty good, but the CLR works fantastic for me. So
I've heard that works really well on Rust, and most of those are available, easily available at your home improvement stores and things. I don't recall. I think I get impatient, so I haven't even tried I haven't tried the electrolysis, because I was raised you don't mix electricity and water, and I know it's safe, but I just can't get past that. So yeah, I do the banging on the concrete, chisel off what you can. But like I said, these are things, if I were to find a Civil War sword or something, may have value.
You wouldn't go and do that. Right.
No, I wouldn't do that. But I'm going to try some of the things y'all said, because I don't really know from my own experience, that CLR works that good. I mean, I've used it for its intended purpose, but I've never actually tried it on Relic. So, yeah, that's good to know.
I really like it. So, Amanda, do you have another question, or do we have any more questions in chat for Vicki before we get close to our last few questions? Time's flying by tonight. Anybody have any questions for Vicki? Just go ahead and drop them in the chat if you do. Oh, one person did ask where they could find you, maybe on social media. You are on Facebook, correct?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on your site. I'm on a lot of the sites. I'm on Can You Dig It? I don't know if I can say all these, but I'm definitely out there on any of the, they're not all Texas sites, but on certainly the East Texas detectors, and somebody's going to be real mad at me because I didn't mention them, but I can't remember it all. But I'm definitely out there on Facebook, on most of the metal detector sites. So, yeah, and I have my own page, too. So it shouldn't be that hard to find me because I'm out there.
And your page under Vicki Merritt, correct?
Yeah, that's just my personal page.
Okay.
But, anybody, if they're not a friend, they can PM me.
Okay.
I'm usually pretty cautious about who I accept, so they need to get some kind of intro or something. I'm a metal detectorist or whatever. But you can almost always chat with me on Gypsy site. I'm on King George and, Tim's, all those. You look up metal detecting, and if it's in the Texas area and some that aren't, I probably visit those sites from time to time, so they'll see me on there. And I use my real name, so I shouldn't be that hard to find.
Okay, great. Well, we've got a question that it's standard we ask before we ask our last question. If you could detect anywhere in the world with no law, let's say there were no laws or anything like that, where would it be? Any place.
Well, I'm probably going to go to my standard on that because I'm not terribly worldly. England would be fun, but what I would really, really want to do is go to my birthplace, which was Fort Riley, Kansas, and detect the fort because it is very historical. It would have special meaning to me. A lot of your military greats from, Lee Marvin back, Hollywood, lots of people have either gotten their training or going even further back. There was a lot of historical activity there, and I don't know that anyone's ever detected that, but that would because I like relics, I would be, kind of thrilled to be able to do that.
That sounds like a really neat place. And you said that's where you're originally from?
That's where I was born. And actually, I think the fort has been decommissioned as an active fort. So in a sense, they don't even recognize it when people ask where I was born and I say Fort Raleigh. They go, huh? So I have to actually put Junction City. I'm an Army brat, so I have to actually put Junction City for people for it to be recognized as a birthplace. So that leads me to believe they still have the historical fort and everything, but it's somewhat like a ghost town. I don't think it's an active fort, but it's full of history. And, that would be an exciting place to take to me.
I think that would be really amazing. No telling what you could find there. Probably so many different decades of, different eras of different types of, relics. So that would be a fascinating area for sure.
And it'd be really cool to find something that was attached to a famous person. It'd be really cool to find something that might be attached to a famous person, military or otherwise. It'd be pretty cool. But I just, it's one of those off-limits places that I would like to go.
Wow. That's really neat. I like that. I like that answer. Really neat. Now, Amanda, we usually save the kind of silly question for the very last. So I'm going to let Amanda ask that, and then we'll go ahead and close out our show after that. But you go ahead, Amanda. You ask our famous last question here.
Sure. Vicki, this question comes from Mike Fuson. If you could dress up as any superhero to treasure hunt and also have those powers, who would you be and why?
Can it only be one?
You can give several.
Well, I would like to have the combination of two, both which will probably really date me. The first one would be Nancy Drew, because she had these superpowers of deduction and reasoning that always led her to where the treasure was or to solve the mystery. And I would like to combine that with Superman and his X-ray vision. I don't see how I could lose not finding the good stuff with those two powers.
Yeah,
right?
It's awesome.
I like that. Yeah. You'd find all kinds of goodies.
And I don't know what that costume would look like. It'd probably be a little weird to try to capture both of those people in a costume, a skirt and a cape maybe, I don't know, but I would like to have their powers when I'm able to take.
Right. That would be an interesting costume, to say the least, to mesh those together. But that would be fun, especially those the powers, and that would be perfect.
You couldn't go wrong. You'd be finding the treasure, I'm pretty certain.
That's for sure. Well, we so appreciate you, Vicki, for being here with us tonight. We'll close with that, and thanks for telling us some of these fun stories, and we learned stuff tonight. It's been great. And we'll definitely have to maybe have you back in the future sometime. So without further ado, you all have a wonderful night. Thanks for joining us tonight, and thanks for everything, Vicki.
Thank you for having me, and I'd love to do it again.
Awesome.
Good night, all.
Good night, all. You all have a wonderful night. Happy hunting.
Happy hunting. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.